according to X here.
Do you think that brain injuries / trauma are considered mental illness?
No.
Okay.
And reason being is it's not something that's brought on. It's an accidental. It's an accidental cause for any mental illness. If somebody gets struck in the head by, let's say, a boulder or by a rock, or they fall down a flight of stairs or something like that, and they injure themselves where they can't remember their own name, that's not a mental illness. That's an accident. It's happened. And there's ways of helping people with it. So not much to say on that end, but it's true. It's not mental illness. If you fall down the stairs, or if you get hit in the head with a hammer by anything, it's not mental illness. That's accident prone. That's accident. Or it could be purposeful. But either in any aspect, you're not dumb. You're not psychotic. You're not depressed or anything. That's not onset. That's an onset. That's not why you're mentally challenged or mentally ill from falling down the stairs or having brain trauma or by getting hit by a car. I don't believe that.
How is it for you living with or living with someone who has mental illness?
You have to take it in stride. You deal with what they have. You deal with the illness that they have. I'll say not an illness, with the condition. I'll take illness out there. The condition that they have. To live with somebody with a condition like, let's say, bipolar or schizophrenia, I believe somebody should be. I believe, and I'm one to research things. It's best not to have judgment right away. Get the info first. Talk to the person. Ask them what they deal with on a daily basis. I have relatives. I've had relatives of relatives who have bipolar or schizophrenia, and the ways of dealing it. Unfortunately, the sad fact is that you hear it through the grapevine of the bad things that happen, but you don't see their side of the story, and you don't see that person's side. Most of the time, if it's a negative thing, it's because they're not properly medicated or they don't want to help themselves. And I believe that helping that person, or just, it's not, and to me, I don't think it's not pretending that they don't have anything. They do have something, they do. To me, it's just talking to them, making sure you know the symptoms, the signs of when something's going to go wrong, like anxiety attacks, or when somebody's off their medication for, let's say, bipolar disorder. You know the signs, and it's a way of helping them and trying to make sure the person or the relative that you're with or that you live with know that, okay, they're not on the right track, go back on track and you'll be fine. Or because mental illness, and unfortunately, it can't just be solved by talking. Mental illness is something that's it's genetic. Not every person. If let's say, and I'll say my relative, I guess if it's an aunt or an uncle or a mother or father has that, I won't have it. Or it's something. It's there's chemicals in the brain. That's if you're not born with it, over time it develops. Some people have it, some people don't develop it. But I believe that if you dwell on things, and I'll say this now, if you dwell on things, you create a stressful environment for yourself. Sometimes you stress yourself out so much that you create that psychological means. So if you believe that you're psychotic, or if you're schizophrenic, some people, and I've read it, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've read a few things that some people have stressed themselves out so much to the point where they became schizophrenic, just by dwelling on that fact. Unfortunately, I used to be that way, where I thought being depressed and dwelling on everything. And that's what I do, is I just, don't think about it, just relax, and there's nothing wrong with you.
Where was that? Okay. If you could trade places with the person who has mental illness to help better understand their illness, would you?
Yes, I would, because I'd like to see what they do, what happens in their life. And it's funny because I was actually going to say that in one of the questions. Because in some way I'd like to see how life is like for a person who has bipolar disorder, anxiety disorder, p.t.s.d. Just to give me it's kind of like a science experiment. You want to see what what a person's life is like with a condition, with a mental illness or with a mental condition, just so it gives you insight on, okay, well, this person lives this way because that, and because some people are so stubborn to the point, well, you can't do that because you just don't want to, kind of factor. Where if you had that if you had that experience, or if you had the opportunity of being that late, you could say, okay, that's why you can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pressure somebody to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would.
Okay. Do you treat them differently because of their illness?
I don't treat anybody differently, unless they treat me differently. And I'll say this, I'm not prejudiced, I'm not, and if there's people who know they have a condition and know they have to, I'll say medicate themselves, they have to be on track with what, if they're just too stubborn not to take their medication, or they just don't care, then I can understand, you know what, if you don't want to help yourself, I'm not going to help you. But I believe that if you have a condition, you know you have a condition, I'm there all the way for you. In some light, yes, I'm there for the person who isn't taking the medication, but in the back of my mind is, I know they can get help. But you can say that all you want to somebody, but they just won't do it. But I have there is empathy, there's a lot of sympathy, but you lose a lot of sympathy for people who don't want to help themselves. And unfortunately, a lot of people do. A lot of people don't to control their own mindset, their own brains, their own functionality, which is sad, because in the long term, it may not end well for them. So I believe I'm very sympathetic to everybody, no matter what. I'm a very positive person, and I don't treat anybody any differently. We all have that kind of prejudice, like, ooh, there's something wrong with that person. But in light, you know there is something wrong with that person, but you're not going to act on it. You're just going to treat them with respect, like they would treat you.
Okay, if they didn't have mental illness, would you treat them differently than you do now? Like, if the person that had mental illness didn't have it and they were, quote, normal, would you treat them differently than you do now?
That's a nice trick question. People are people, based on if they have mental illness, or if they're just as normal as you and me, or anybody in the world. Humans should be. I treat every person equally. You're a human. You're not a rag doll. You're not tossed around like. You're not a toy. You're not tossed around a room. I believe that people who, if you talk to people, if in some way there's respect, you need to gain and earn respect for people. Even if it's a stranger, if you know a stranger but you don't know him personally, I talk to people, I'll say hi, yes, hello. People you know who have mental illness or don't have mental illness, I don't treat them any differently. There should be no reason why people shouldn't be treated equally. If they are, it's because somebody's really stubborn or an arsehole. But, yeah, I believe that no matter who you are, mental illness or not, people should be treated fairly and equally, no matter what. And they shouldn't be shunned, or they shouldn't be looked over like a piece of meat or anything like that. They're human, they have a brain, they have a life, and everybody should be treated equally. Even if we all have our sarcastic comments or our snobby mindsets, no matter what. People are people. We all have opinions, no matter what.
Okay.
But we should, to me, I treat everyone equally, no matter what.
Okay. Are you their caregiver? If so, what is it like having that responsibility?
If I was, let's say, a caregiver, I take it with a grain of salt. I would definitely, I'd be probably the number one fan, or their number one support. Number one, if they don't have anybody to take care of them, and I'm the only one, I would be the mom, the dad, the aunt, the uncle, the brother, the sister, everyone. If they don't have anybody to stand by, or to be with, or to be taken care of, I'd be the number one support, no matter what. I'd treat them with respect. I'd treat them the way they would treat me. So unless they treat me like crap, then I treat them like crap. It's a little give and take, but
Yeah.
but if I was, let's say, if somebody with mental illness, any mental illness, I'm a very patient person. I would have no problem taking care of anybody who had mental illness if their stress levels are always high, or if they're prone to anxiety attacks. I'm very patient when it comes to relaxing and resolving issues. So I'd have no problem taking care of anybody.
Okay. Do you think people who have mental illness are crazy?
No. People with mental illnesses are not crazy. I don't believe that for one bit. Crazy is a broad term. In a way, people that's just a big block. That's a big sign on any wall you see. Nobody's crazy. In my eyes, if you have a mental illness, I'm not going to look at you any differently than I would look at my brother or my mother or father. Everybody, unless they say they're crazy, nobody will say, yeah, I'm nuts. No. If you have mental illness, it's not like they have a shirt that says, I have bipolar disease. Treat me differently. Yeah. It's not. I don't know, maybe John Smith over next door may have it, but I'll treat him just as much respect as I would with you. Or anybody else in this house or on the street. Unless they're wielding a gun or a knife or a weapon at me, then I may be prone to saying, get me out of here. But if they're just a normal human, or normal person, a normal person who's dressed in normal clothing, they could be homeless, they could be, I don't know. But if they can talk, they can say hi, yeah, nothing wrong. There's no such thing as a crazy person. I believe that's just a big stereotype. People say you're crazy because you have 50 cats. You're crazy because you like this. Nobody's crazy and nobody's perfect. Nobody's crazy and nobody's perfect. But we all have. We can all say we all have that crazy friend, that crazy brother. I'm nuts, or I'm crazy, but you know what? That's just a pronoun. That's a pronoun that should not exist. If you have a mental illness, it's not like a big billboard pasted on you. Mm-hmm. I'm crazy because I have this. It's not. But nobody's crazy.
Okay. Do you think that they are making it up for, say, attention?
No. If somebody has bipolar disorder, it's not because they're just saying they have bipolar disorder just to say that they have it. I would never say I'd have bipolar disorder if I didn't have it. Maybe some people, and I'll say this in opinion, maybe some people do just to get, for the thrill of getting attention. Some people do, but for the 99.9% of the population who have some sort of mental illness or believe they have mental illness, are not faking it. Mental illness is such a broad term that from stress to bipolar to schizophrenia to PTSD, any stress, if you have a hard time coping with loss or with anything, it's not mental illness, but we all have some sort of some sort of pretty much stereotype to everything, to everybody. But you know what? I wouldn't say so. Nobody's nobody's really saying they're crazy just to say they're crazy, or they're ill because they're ill. I'm sick because I just coughed. I'm not. I believe that's, if you were mentally unstable, you really are mentally unstable. And to me, if you have to prove it, you can prove it.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much not.
So, do you think or believe that mental illness is real?
I do believe it's real. It's hard to it's hard for anyone to say they have bipolar disorder without knowing it. Of course, with history, you've seen it. We've all seen it. We've seen doctors. It's not on the basis of prescribing anything. It's just basis of scientific facts, and by seeing, just by working with children, I've seen the effects of autism, with Asperger's, with schizophrenia, with bipolar disorders. It is true. It's not something that you can just look at a person and say you have bipolar disorder.
Mm-hmm.
It's the notions that it's something in the brain. It's not just something that you can guess. I can say, yeah, you have bipolar disorder right now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
No.
I don't know if you do.
No, I don't.
I know you don't. But you can't just. It's not a label you can put on
Mm-hmm.
anybody.
Yeah.
You have to. There's scientific proof. Sometimes you can take somebody's word for it, and if you see there's about 50 bottles of pills they have to take a day, you kind of get the gist of something. Yeah, exactly. So I do believe it's real.
Okay. Let's see. As a caregiver or friend, family member, coworker who is close to the person with mental health, what is your advice to someone who is in the same or similar role to you, not to the mental illness person, like to the other person?
So the caregiver.
Yes.
Himself.
Yes.
What's my advice for him?
Mm-hmm.
Be patient.
Okay.
Be very, very patient. Be very understanding. But also be very, not strict. I'm trying to find the right word for this. On top of everything, making
Okay.
sure somebody is being well cared for, making sure medication is taken properly, making sure that you know the signs of anything that's going to happen, including anxiety attacks or bipolar episodes. If somebody is not treated with medication, knowing the signs of what to do if somebody has a spat or has a bout of mental illness, of knowing exactly what the signs are, what to do, who to contact. But for the most part, is be patient. Patience is the biggest thing. Also because it's not something somebody's prepared for. But if you're calm, you're cool, and you know the steps to take, and if you can easily just, and it's not just a point of relaxing. You can stress yourself out, but if you are patient with that with the person, that makes the biggest difference to anybody.
Okay. Are there any other questions that I haven't covered that you would like to answer, or anything that you would like to add?
Seems like a pretty good basis on mental health. I know everybody has everybody has a different mindset on what mental illness is about, or how anxiety affects a person. As a person who suffers from panic attacks at times, and somebody who has had their bouts of, I'll say anxiety or depression. I don't know if you want to call it either or. Don't dwell on things. That's one thing, is not to dwell on the small stuff. It's hard to be prepared, but when you are going through, let's say, a rough patch, just know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not through a bullet, it's not through a knife. It's knowing that something good is going to come out on the other side, and that'll be a positive attitude. That'll be a better life. Making sure that whatever evil or whatever bad occurrences happened in the past will definitely heal in time, and with a new lifestyle. Like, if and this is going back to abuse, being raped or being close to death, or being pretty much close to homicide, knowing that that won't happen to you again, just by knowing the person that you're with, or by the people that you're surrounded by are caring and are trustworthy, you can build a better life for yourself that way. You can definitely see the double rainbow occur. You have better emotions, you have a better attitude towards life, you have a better attitude towards the people around you. You're not depressed, you're not worried. And by reaching out to the world, by going out there and just, it's an adventure. Life's an adventure. You never know where it's going to go. But by just going out and just by knowing that you're safe and that you don't dwell on mental illness or anything like that, your life you'll live until you're 100. You could live until you're 1,000 if that's possible, but just having a positive lifestyle, being prepared for the worst and being prepared for the best is what I believe is the key to a happy life and happy attitude and happy mental health.
Thank you for your time.
Not
That's
a
all the
problem.
questions I've got. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can also visit me on my Facebook page and Instagram.